Welcome everyone. We're going to talk today about CAD and mouse. So CAD software, your ExoCAD or CRMill, whatever the branding might be, and all sorts of different mice, what you might prefer. Maybe these guys, 3D mouse, pen input devices. How can you speed up your workflow? A little bit of that. So let's see, let me maybe share my screen and feel free, put your questions, what you want to have answered here in the chat if you're on the Zoom meeting, or if you're on Facebook, I might have to read those comments later because we're streaming on a couple of platforms.
I'll try to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I'll try to keep an eye on it, and Holly as well. So let me try to share my screen and then I'll show you a couple of things. There we are. All right. So what I have is, let me pull this up. I'm just going to make a quick Google search, go to the 3D Connection website. You guys probably already know that. But that 3D mouse, what I showed you here a moment ago from 3D Connection is pretty awesome, but really I find myself using it only when I'm either recording videos and I want a real subtle, nice movement of the scan data, or if I'm using it in conjunction with a pen. Because if I'm using the pen and it's not a touch display like the Surface Pro would be or something like that, then the rotation is a little funny to do with the pen. So the 3D mouse together with the pen works pretty well. I have not tried this CAD mouse here, what they're offering. I only have the small version here of the 3D mouse. I have a wired one, I have a Bluetooth one. The Bluetooth one you can use wired as well. And I have a mouse, what I got recommended from my friend Albert. He actually bought it for me, so thanks Albert. And I'm going to try and pull it up for you. Let's see if I can find it. And then I show you a little bit on how to set this stuff up, how you can program it, etc. Let's see. This is the small. Okay, 1 second here, bear with me. Okay, so I just went to Amazon here basically, and mine is red, but I think that's the same model here. Basically called the UTAC Venus. I think mine is the 16400 DPI. Yep, so that's that one. $32, not too bad. And you have all these buttons here on the side where you can program. You can change the speed of how sensitive the mouse is with those buttons here. That's always handy. You can change the color of it if you're into that. That doesn't really matter too much to me. The buttons here are really handy. And I want to show you how to maybe set these things up and what else you could possibly use and what the downfall is on that mouse maybe. Let me go to ExoCAD hotkeys. Let's Google that. You probably already have done that. If not, please do it because that will make your life easier. Here's the summary of hotkeys.
I was going to mention really quick too, sorry to interrupt you. We have a hotkeys mouse pad available if anybody wants. We'll send it over for free.
Awesome, exactly. Yes, that's very helpful, that hotkeys mouse pad. I have one somewhere as well, but since I just moved, I couldn't show this in the camera here at the moment. But you have all the hotkeys listed out, and you probably already know the most common one is an antagonist, P as in pre-op, S as in scan data. Yeah, they try to make it simple. Always shift and control. But there's some of those which I cannot remember. I remember E as in external anatomy is how I remember it. So that would hide and show you anatomy. And maybe I should open up the demo case here somehow so I can show you how that actually works. And of course, shift and control together with pushing down on the mouse wheel does something. But what I'm trying to say is there is certain ones which I could just look on the keyboard, and if my hands are on the shift and control most of the time anyways, then that might come in handy to remember a couple of those, but there's some which I just can't remember. And what you can do is you can maybe look into a programmable keyboard, but then you have the same issue like with the mouse. You have to memorize what these 12 buttons on the mouse are doing. And if you are not using it for a while, you eventually forget. So what I find really helpful is the Stream Deck. I will show that in a moment because you can actually program the name on it. Let me load whatever case here. Yeah, why not? Doesn't really matter what it is. And I'll give you some insight on the software of the Wacom pen and the mouse and the Stream Deck. Okay. So if this is loaded up, A, as you can see on the keyboard, when I'm hitting A, the antagonist is hiding, the S, the scan data is hiding. Let's say you want to link this either on the Stream Deck or on the mouse. We could go to the UTAC Venus, and we can say, well, I want to go to the side, and I want to say, and there's different profiles also what you can set up. So you could have one for Exocad and another one for your, I don't know, your email application or whatever you want to do. I'm just going to use the profile one here. I like to have number one going backward. That's helpful. You could link shift on this and control. Like this is already done. So you can actually use just one hand. You don't have to have the left hand on the shift and control if you're right-handed. And you see here, number 4 is S, 5 is A, 6 is F. So I actually, without having to touch the keyboard, can do the same thing. If I hit that number on the mouse and hide things and bring them in, etc. I believe it lets you even combine things with a shortcut. So you could say Shift and S to change the transparency of it, etc. Yeah, but I usually just do that with Shift and then the mouse wheel click like that, right? Let's say I'm struggling memorizing all this, although I could probably take a picture of it, print this thing out, write it down somewhere. Yeah, there's probably many ways. And that's relatively inexpensive, with just 30 bucks. Or you could be looking in the Stream Deck. So if I bring the Stream Deck up for a moment, go back to the website, find it for you. They have a couple different size options. For 149, you can get one of those. If you're looking for programmable keyboard options, you get something where, yes, you can program it, but then you have the same thing. You can't really remember what these buttons are. I have used this one here and that works good. And you can program everything. Let's go here to the Stream Deck app. To however you want to have that. There's multiple pages what you can add if that doesn't work out with just one page for you. And if you're looking here, this is a hotkey basically, and you can write down what this is. So you're actually changing, those are miniature displays if you want, so those buttons, you can label them, and then you instantly can find what it is if you forgot what it was. That's fairly helpful, and that could just be sitting next to you, and you can hide and bring things in to speed up your workflow that way. Not technically a mouse, but really helpful and makes things a little bit easier. Then maybe the Wacom I want to show you. I've been using those for a while, and I want to talk about the Surface Pro a little bit as well. The Wacom, if I'm looking in those pen settings here, for example, you can see how the pen more or less looks like, and you can do the same thing. You can define a application, so you could make a different profile for Exocad, and then you can set this up as Shift, for example, and the other one for Control, the other one maybe for Shift and Control, whatever you want to do. And you can freeform, and you can carve and add material with it in the regular freeforming application, which I think is very helpful if you're having gingiva designs to do. It's really fun. If you ended up maybe growing up in the laboratory doing some waxing by hand, this feels very familiar. And you're able to utilize both hands. Let me try to maybe show this. I'm sorry, I'm dropping everything here when I'm trying to get the pen out. But if I bring the CAD up, I can change it with the 3D mouse now. So that's my left hand. And with the right hand, I can basically use the pen. And as you can see, I can do that at the same time. So this is really helpful if you're smoothing over a surface, if you're trying to add or remove things. Now, let's say if I can do actually a freeforming here. Switch to expert. Yeah, freeform scan data, why not? And I know that's not maybe as performant as if that was now the actual anatomy, but you could go and freeform together with this now. So you can take the smaller tool and you can add things, right, with the pen. And if you wanted to smooth over something, you can slightly rotate it whilst you're smoothing. So you're basically a little bit more efficient because you're ending up using both hands. I don't know if that makes sense to you. With just one hand and the mouse, you can't really do this because you're ending up having to, let me just use the mouse, smoothen over something, rotate it, smoothen over something, rotate it, smoothen over something. Okay, so I don't know if that now made sense and made it a little bit more clear. There is a learning curve to this, of course, because you're using that pen and you're looking at the screen. They make, if you're not shy of spending some money, Wacom, that's the tablet what I'm using here as a pen input. They also make displays, so you could, let's go to their website maybe. And unfortunately, I don't get a cent for any of that, of the Wacom or 3D connection or whatever. So all those are just things what I'm using, and I'm trying to make your life a little bit easier. So Wacom, find them, there they are. I want to say that they're maybe about $150, something like that. Don't quote me on that. But if we're going to products, there is pen computers, pen displays, and then pen tablets. So I have a really old pen tablet device. I want to say it's the Intuos what I had. My option doesn't even exist anymore. It's been updated 3 times, but that's basically what it is. These buttons here on the top are also programmable, so you can also put some shortcuts on those. And let's say if we're going for the medium ones, you buy now, see what the price is here. And that one has Bluetooth, which might maybe be helpful. I like wires though. Nothing wrong with wires. If your battery runs out in the middle of a design, you're kind of screwed. If you have a wire, that's not going to be the case for you. Okay, they maybe gotten a little more expensive than what I remember them to be. There is some knockoff versions. I have purchased one on Amazon at one point, and I tell you what I didn't like. The Wacom version has no battery in the pen. Let me for a second maybe stop the screen share. I don't know if you can see my camera very well. I just try it this way. We have on here a programmable button. On the knockoff version, this was actually a power button because there was a battery in the pen. This pen's super lightweight. On the knockoff version, that's gotten pretty heavy because of the batteries in there. And then ultimately, there's two buttons here. I don't know if how well you can see this, but there's one here, one there, and then this one, of course, is just a click. That has been working for years for me. No batteries, like I said. It's wired because then you don't have to worry about anything. You can disable the touch version. So this actually is like a humongous trackpad for you if you wanted to. I find that helpful. Just flick the switch on it. There's an actual physical hardware switch where I can turn this on and off for better palm rejection. But if the palm rejection is none of your concern, you could actually probably just rotate your model with that if you don't have a 3D mouse. But I think the combination of the two and then utilizing both hands is actually the way to go. Let me show you the other thing. I want to show you the on the website here, the pen displays for a moment. So going back to products. And then the pen computers, I looked into those and I ended up buying a Surface Pro. Pen displays. These get pricey, but you basically, if you don't like the idea of using the pen and drawing somewhere in front of you on the tablet and looking at the screen, then maybe a pen display is the better way for you to do that, because you can actually use the pen on your display. You see exactly what you're doing. If you're going for a tablet, if you don't mind that interest, what I'm using here, a little bit less expensive route, maybe a tip is you don't need the big one. And I maybe can show you why. The ways are a little bit shorter. And if I go back here and I go, let me see if I find this. Touch settings, is that what it is? Applications, standard on screen, mapping. Okay, so I have two screens here right now. So this is actually covering both of the screens. Ideally, I would make a new profile here, and I would say, what's the application? I would say this is the DentalCAD app. Let's say okay. And now for the DentalCAD app, I actually don't want the mapping here as screen area full. I just want the second screen, which is the screen on my left, which is the one I'm currently presenting from. So now the dimensions of that tablet, what is sitting on my desk, are roughly matching the monitor, and you don't have to drag with the pen. You just basically go wherever you want to go. And if you have a humongous tablet, you're ending up having pretty significant and long ways, and your ways are getting shorter if you're getting actually the smaller tablet. It's a little bit counterintuitive. I actually think that the small one would eventually be enough. The medium for sure, I would, that's the one I'm using. I would probably not go for the large version. You're maybe wasting your money. If you're ending up finding that this is still too big, you can actually here define a portion, and you can basically crop this into something smaller. So if you're finding yourself, oh, well, I bought the medium and I would rather have like a smaller area to keep the waist shorter, you can still do it. That might maybe be a helpful tip. And the other one was talking with you about the the Surface Pro here a little bit. So I bought a refurbished Surface Pro 6. The hard disk drive is a little small in it. If you buy a 7, you could maybe get the bigger hard disk drive. Miguel just bought one, I think, and he got a 500 gigabyte hard disk drive SSD. You want to probably look for the maxed out version if you're into that. So that you're getting the best CPU, the maxed out RAM, and the larger hard disk drive or SSD drive, just to be able to have a better, powerful, and performant computer if you're really designing on it. And I think what I looked forever for, and maybe there's some Surface users out there, which I struggle now showing you exactly how it works, but I can explain it, is you can use the Surface as an additional display. So if you already have one, fantastic. You don't have to necessarily buy the Wacom displays. You have to have your computer and the Surface connected via Wi-Fi, and you can use it as an external display, basically. So your ExoCAD can basically be on your big desktop computer. It has the good graphic card, lots of RAM in it, good CPU, etc. And you're using the Surface only as a remote control, basically. But the Surface also has a pen, and it also has 2 buttons which you can program on it. If you combine that maybe with a 3D mouse, then that will certainly be fun. And how you connect it, if I try showing it to you, the drivers will probably go nuts, and it won't share the correct screen anymore. But I can show you, if you hit the Windows key, you would look for the Connect app. So this is this one here. Let me bring this on another screen. If for some reason the Connect app is not there, I think it's called additional features, optional. Let's see. Yes, add optional feature right here. And then you would search for display, and then wireless display comes up. In my case, it's already installed, but then you would install that on both devices. You would be on the same Wi-Fi network. You would, on this main computer where you're trying to run ExoCAD from, hit Windows, you would type in Connect, you would open the Connect app, and it looks like this. Then you go to your Surface, and I'm going to pretend now that this is the Surface. You hit Windows key and K. And this will come up. So it might depend on your Wi-Fi. And ultimately, and then you can use that as a remote control, basically. Your Surface. So if especially your Surface is a little older, and or maybe is not maxed.
Hey, Richard. Let me see. He's freezing again.
Out on the specs, like I told you, maybe try to buy that. The Surface of its, yes.
You were freezing just a bit, just to let you know.
Oh, is it okay now again?
Yeah, it's okay right now. I'll let you know.
Okay, awesome. I don't know where I was freezing, what you heard, but the Surface Pro is maybe not the best laptop for heavy designs. If you're doing that on a regular basis, you may be looking into something different, and maybe the Wacom pen together with the 3D mouse might be something. Or if you're just looking into it, then maybe the first mouse, what I showed you for $30, that's your least expensive option. You can still get a good use out of it, of programming the shortcuts into the mouse, and it will if you're learning what number matches which shortcut, it will definitely make your design workflow a little bit quicker. If you memorize the shortcuts, maybe, or using the keyboard, the mouse pad, where you can see the keyboard shortcuts, that will already speed up the workflow. I'm ending up not really switching to smoothing anymore since a long time. I just hold Shift and Control and then left click in order to smoothen over things. Shift and mouse wheel up and down to change the brush size. I hope you guys all know that. And another little trick which I found really helpful is, I forgot where I saw that. I don't remember. It was one of the dental forums, I want to say. It may have been Joshua. I don't know. Credit where credit's due. It might have been him. Shift, Control, and R as in ruler. You see what happened on the bottom? It just brought the ruler up. If I do this one more time, I get the grid. If I do this one more time, the grid now overlays on the teeth. And that is super helpful if you're setting up something anterior.
Hey, Richard, we're not seeing your screen.
Oh, cool. Thanks for that. Let me do that. All right, now you can see it, right? I hope. Okay, so Shift, Control, and R brings up the ruler. Doing that one more time brings up the grid. Doing that one more time overlays the grid on the teeth. And that is super helpful if you're having an anterior case, seeing what your incisal length is, comparing that basically to that grid. And then once you're done with that, just turn it back off. And it's a little quicker than going to tools and settings and finding the grid there. And I don't even know if there's an option to overlay the grid in the settings. I think you can just turn it on and off. So this was a really, really good find, whoever figured that out, because I'm not sure if it's listed anywhere. And here, as you can see, like with the mouse wheel up and down, Shift or with Control, we can change how much we're adding, how big the tool is, what the strength is, and then instead of going to smooth and flatten, just hold Shift and Control together, and then basically smoothen over this. Super helpful. I think on the mouse you can also enable that the button is held down. So if you're doing a lot of freeforming, you could and you're just trying to not use your thumb to hold that Shift key down or whatever, you can also turn it on. But I found there's somehow a glitch where if you turn that on, you can no longer rotate. So I'm still using the Shift and Control on here. There is 2 programmable buttons on the 3D mouse, what I showed you in the beginning. So you could also put Shift and Control on that one. So there's a button programmable here, and then on the other side is another one. And then you can also put Shift and Control on that if you wanted to. And then your mouse is or your hand is right on the mouse. You can rotate it where you want, and then make use of the Shift and Control, and then some extra buttons maybe on the mouse. So I don't know if there's any question. I've been babbling now for over 30 minutes about mice, probably more than what you care. I've tried to find a fun little image. What I came across was a meme. It said, a gaming mouse doesn't make you a better player. So you can buy all the stuff, of course, and maybe your designs are not going to look necessarily better. But if you already know how to design, then this will definitely help after that little bit of a learning curve what there is to speed up your workflow. And I'm super curious, if you're using something different, please drop it in the comments somewhere. I'm super curious what you're using. Maybe there's something out there what I'm not aware of. Especially if it's something completely different from the things what I mentioned, I want to know about it. Awesome. Then if you have questions, post them now, or otherwise I would say have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week.